Welcome back, viewers. Today, we delve into the escalating tensions in the South China Sea, where the United States has deployed warships to counter China's aggressive moves against Philippine vessels. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on global affairs. The South China Sea, a region rich in resources and hotly contested by multiple nations, has become a flashpoint for geopolitical tensions. Recent events have taken a concerning turn as China aggressively pursued Philippine ships in these disputed waters. In response, the United States has deployed warships to safeguard its allies' maritime interests. As a U.S. Navy surveillance plane flew in circles, keeping a close watch, dozens of Chinese Coast Guard and accompanying ships chased and encircled Philippine vessels in the latest confrontation in one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the South China Sea. At the height of Friday's 4-hour face-off in the high seas, a Chinese Coast Guard ship blasted a water cannon toward a Philippine motorboat delivering food and other supplies to Filipino forces on a marooned rusting warship that serves as the country's fragile territorial outpost at 2nd Thomas Shoal. China has steadfastly stood by its claim to virtually the entire strategic waterway, clashing with its smaller neighbors and drawing in the U.S., Manila's treaty ally, and China's main rival in the Asia-Pacific region. The U.S. Navy has sent a destroyer close to a contested island in the South China Sea that Beijing has fortified with military installations to stake its territorial claims on the region. The sailing came as the Chinese military entered a third day of a show of force around Taiwan, 1,000 miles away near the northern entrance to the South China Sea, in response to a brief visit by Taiwan's president to the United States. On Monday, a statement from the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet said the guided missile destroyer U.S. Milius passed within 12 nautical miles the internationally recognized limit of a nation's territorial waters of Mischief Reef in the Spratly Islands, known as the Nancha Islands in China. Mischief Reef, which lies in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, is also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan, but Beijing has asserted its claims to the island by building it up and placing military infrastructure on it. The U.S. contends such actions are in violation of the law of the Sea Convention. Features like Mischief Reef that are submerged at high tide in their naturally formed state are not entitled to a territorial sea. The land reclamation efforts, installations, and structures built on Mischief Reef do not change this characterization under international law, the U.S. 7th Fleet statement said. China claims almost all of the vast South China Sea as part of its territorial waters, including many distant islands and inlets in the disputed body of water, many of which, like Mischief Reef, Beijing has militarized. There are fears that the recurring confrontations at 2nd Thomas Shoal, which lies within the UN-sanctioned Philippine exclusive economic zone, but is claimed by China and surrounded by its flotilla, could ignite an armed conflict pitting the U.S. against China. Philippine officials said on Saturday they would never take any step that could ignite a larger conflict, but would not be deterred in defending the country's sovereign rights in the South China Sea. Despite the Chinese blockades and coercive maneuvers, the Philippine contingent managed to deliver supplies to the handful of Filipino Marines aboard the BRP Sierra Madre and left without incident. A spokesperson for the People's Liberation Army's Southern Theater Command said the U.S. destroyer illegally intruded into Chinese waters near Mischief Reef, which Beijing calls Miji Reef. China has indisputable sovereignty over the South China Sea islands and their nearby waters, Air Force Senior Colonel Tian Jumli said in a statement. The U.S. destroyer's so-called Freedom of Navigation Operation, FONOP, defended the rights for vessels of any nation to operate in the area, the 7th Fleet statement said. The slightly listing Philippine warship, donated by the U.S., has been crumbling with age, but is still actively commissioned, meaning an armed attack would be considered by Manila as an act of war. Journalists who were invited on board 3 Philippine Coast Guard ships, securing 2 supply boats, witnessed the dangerous cat-and-mouse maneuvers in rough waves. It's part of a shame campaign. Philippine officials said they would press on to expose China's growing aggression in one of the world's most important trade routes. Monday's U.S. FONOP came as Chinese forces entered their 3rd day of large-scale military exercises around the island of Taiwan, the self-governing democracy to the north of the South China Sea that China's ruling Communist Party claims as its territory, despite never having ruled it. Beijing launched the operations around Taiwan on Saturday, a day after Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen returned from a 10-day visit to Central America and the United States, where she met U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Beijing had repeatedly warned against Tsai's meeting with McCarthy and had previously threatened to take strong and resolute measures if it went ahead. As the situation unfolds, it raises questions about the future of U.S.-China relations, the role of other nations in the region, and the potential consequences for global security. Join us as we navigate through the complexities of this geopolitical chess game. As tensions continue to rise in the South China Sea, the world watches closely. Will diplomatic solutions prevail, or are we on the brink of a larger conflict? Share your opinions and stay tuned as we keep you updated on this evolving story. That's it for today's video. If you found this information valuable, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global affairs. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.